Hi folks, welcome to Saturday. So, look at that, green lights. My battery's all solar charged. Putting in some time and effort with the Honda 300EX, TRX 300EX. When I bought this thing, I told you it had an ignition problem. And I showed you all the hacked wires, right? And various switches and all kinds of crazy crap they had going on. And I showed you that I could fire this guy up with my portable CDI box, my self-contained CDI box that has 12 volts and everything else right inside. It has its own power source. So that's this guy right here, right? And can't forget the cool switch. Anyway, so I fired up the Trailer Park TRX 300EX with that, and I said, well, I'd really like to make this thing run on a dirt bike ignition. So I hooked up a dirt bike ignition to it, and this red and black wire is the wire that you hook to the stator, which in this case is yellow. So I hooked that up, and I hooked the blue and white to the blue and white right there. Right, I kind of have it extended through this red, and I hooked up ground, and she didn't fire. And I said, wow, that's strange. And then I put my meter to the stator wire, between the stator wire and ground, and you expect to see something, you know, in the tens or hundreds of ohms, typically in the hundreds of ohms, a couple hundred ohms, and I got nothing. It wide open. So I probed the other stator wires, and these are all opened also. So I don't know if something terrible happened behind here, if this did the old metal material debris from the starter that got in between the flywheel and the stator and chewed everything up. Yeah, I'm not quite sure what kind of ugly thing happened underneath there, but it's odd that all the stators are open to ground. And I double checked the meter and everything else, and sure enough, they're open to ground. Here, this is hooked to ground right here. So as an example, if I take a quick look at the pulsar, normally with the pulsar you get somewhere around, I don't know, 360 ohms, give or take a foot and a half, and there you go, right? So I'm able to read the pulsar, I'm able to read ground, but once again, when I go and plug into the stator here, right, I got an open circuit. And even when I up the value to mega ohms, that 2000K right there, which is 2 megs, I have an open circuit. And these are also go to stator coils, and these are all opened also. It's also weird when you look at this side of the engine. The reverse is missing. They put the shifter back on, but it's got no reverse. So I'm thinking I'm going to have to pull this cover off and see what's going on with the stator. In theory, I could run it as it is, but given that the stators, there's 3 windings in there, it's a 3-phase charging system. Given that they're all open, that means I can't charge the battery right? Should I hook up all the stuff to charge the battery? I can't charge the battery, which means I can only run this on the portable CDI unit. I have to provide my 12 volts, my own 12 volts all the time. So yeah, it's interesting there are no lights on there either. Right, all that's been removed. Basically, the entire 12 volt system's been removed, and I think I didn't spend a lot of time going through his wiring, but I think the only thing this does is it turns the starter on and off, and he doesn't have a battery in there. So my guess is he was jumping it and using this to kind of do the starter thing. A lot of times when people really beat up on the starters, they shed some metal, and that metal ends up eating the flywheel and the stators, which once again that really stinks. Now I got decisions to make. If I go in there and the stator's all chewed up, obviously I can just pull it the heck out of there. Let the flywheel go round and round. It doesn't matter that there's damage to the flywheel. But to do this bike correctly, I would really need, when the stators get damaged, normally the flywheels get damaged too. So I would have to pop for a flywheel and a stator, and make sure the engine's clean on the inside, because just because you put a new flywheel and stator in there doesn't mean if you leave metal in the engine that it's not going to take out the new flywheel and stator. So I'm glad I don't have a lot of money tied up in this bike, given that it's got dubious lineage, let's just call it that, and that the engine, though it runs, and it's it's worth $350, but I'm really glad I don't have 700 or 1,000 tied up in it. Right, that would be painful. So for now, yeah, I'm trying to figure out what exactly. Well, I don't need to come up with an exact plan at this moment, but I'm debating what to do with this. Once again, given its dubious lineage and so forth. I mean, if she was a running bike, these things typically go for, in its current in its condition. Let's say it was running and charging and actually functioned. Outside price, and we're talking way outside, is probably about $1,800. They're typically going $1,200 to $1,500. Call it $1,500 plus or minus a little bit, depending on exactly what they look like. I mean, this isn't the prettiest bike in the world, right? It's chopped up and cut up, mismatched plastic and everything else, and then back to the lineage problem. So yeah, it's yeah. Once again, I'm glad I don't have a lot of money tied up into it. She's only $350. Worst comes to worst, I can pull the, fire the engine up, sell it on eBay with an open or part the engine out, part the bike out, and get my $350 back fairly easily. There really wouldn't be a problem with that. I could probably get $100 for just the tires. I mean, the starter's probably worth $50. You just go through each piece, right? And the seat, even though it's not the most beautiful seat in the world, it's probably worth $50 to $75. So getting my money out of it is not bad. I mean, the hubs are worth something. Yeah. I'm just going to say it one last time. Glad I don't have a lot of money tied up in it. Yeah, I'm having the stator out of it is not a big surprise. Having all the stators out of it, having opens on all of them, is somewhat of a big surprise. Maybe I'll open it up. Maybe it's a factory defect, and they forgot to solder the ground. Perhaps they have a common ground, and maybe they forgot to solder that on. If that's the case, I'm a winner. But from what I typically see on the 250 ESs, the big reds, typically I see the stators really chewed up, especially the older ones, the 85s, the 86s, and late 86s. They seem to do better, but particularly these old-time 250s, they end up shedding metal and they end up killing things. All right, folks. So I figured I'd take you along for the ride. Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to break into this thing right away or if I'm going to put it into a storage type mode, put it back together and store it. I'm going to have to ruminate on that a little bit. I mean, you guys will share what you think on that topic. I was hoping for $350 to, especially when I saw the last spark plug was no good. I was really kind of hoping that I was gonna get away with doing a little cleanup on the wiring and putting a pit bike ignition, clean up the wiring a little bit, simplify the harness a little bit, and get this thing running for $350. I guess that's not going to be the case. If the prices are anything, what I saw is the prices for the stators and covers and all seem to be a little bit more reasonable on these than the 250 ESs. But to fix the motor properly, I'm probably looking at least a couple $100. And by the time I could put another 250 into this bike without too much problem, which gets me to 600. I'm still below value. But now, yeah, I don't know. I gotta see what I'm gonna do. Oh, and I got another $30 worth of pipe and exhaust and all tied up too. I'm kidding. That's not a problem. But yeah, this can easily work its way to being a $600 bike. Anyway, I got to think about it. I know I'm going to read 20 people saying, I'll take it, I'll buy it off of you. Yeah, I'm not quite to that point yet. Yeah. I was hoping that it was a steal of a deal. It was a deal. It was a good deal, but it wasn't a steal of a deal. It wasn't like, you know, home run, score, you know. It's okay. It's worth the money for parts, but it wasn't a steal of a deal. All right, folks. I want to thank you all for watching and commenting and subscribing. Sorry to prattle on for so long. Sorry about that. Remember to keep your feet down, keep your head up, and please get out there and enjoy all your days. Bye now, folks.